Hi, my name's Gnobo Calypso. Please call me Brice. We are going to discuss June of 2015 today. So, to get right into it, I use and have used numerology as a guide. I look for greater truth, which I think that most people do. I look for the greater truth, but I also look for the highest understanding that I can find. So with Mystical Numerology, it gives me an understanding, a much greater understanding, not the understanding, because supposedly we human beings only understand 1/8 of who we are, which, it's psychology, and I don't quite agree with it. But I like to understand, but I don't understand anything that is put into closed systems, like, to say that Afro-Americans are this way, Irish people are that way, Japanese are this way. I don't, that's not something that I'm interested in, or that I believe in. With Mystical Numerology, I could look at the individuality of people, the individuality of places, the overall guidelines of months, the individuality of days, etc., etc., etc. And that gives me a large understanding that I could work with. But it's not the ultimate, because there is no ultimate or absolute. But it gives me guidelines on how the best way that I can understand a person or a situation or a place, etc., etc. And that way I'm able to work with it or cooperate with it much better. And it's worked. It's my life is a lot easier. Anyway, June of 2015. Let's start here. I don't really like using the hyphen. It doesn't have an interpretation within itself. This in our psyche creates a negative, and just when I see it, I think of it as a negative. So I don't use it. I like the space, because the space is an interval. There's an interval that exists within the rain, when numbers rain down, like 2 is 1 and 1, 6 is 3 and 3, or 5 and 1, or 1 and 5, etc. There's a rain. Zero has it all. So in the rain, there's an interval between numbers, and that this has no place in the interval, so I don't use it. Gotta get the rag. Okay, June. The first triad of June is a 6 to 8. Then, of course, we have the creative source, 1-5. Now, you'll notice there's two sixes, but if you want to look at the 66 as subsuming within this, you can, but the 66 isn't as strong as it was in April. But it's there. There's a possibility of the 66 within there. But what we're going to look at is the overall, the 6s and the 8. And these are very strong. These are going to be very strong patterns in June. Now, the 8 is a strong manifestation pattern. There was a numerologist in the UK one time, I think in the early 19th century. His name was Shiro, and he based his whole philosophy and practice around the 8. And he saw the 8 as being highly fatalistic. When you look at the 8, it's actually 2 worlds combined. So it could, for him to say it's highly fatalistic, it has to be fatalistic and opportunistic at the same time. Both energies have to be balanced together. So this is balancing 2 worlds. You could see it as balancing the upper and the lower, or the spiritual and the material, or it really depends on the person and the situation. But this is a strong pattern that says there has to be balance. If not, there will be the law of rhythm. So the 8, it's very possible to bring in land changes, especially all the things that are happening to the land. It's a cause and effect that creates that manifestation. So within this manifesting power, with the cause and effect, if there was imbalance, there can be some land changes, which is a manifestation of these 2 not being balanced. And you know, we could discuss for hours and hours and hours what exists here and what exists there, but we're not going to do that. It's that these 2, it's like 2 different worlds. They have to be balanced. So I look at it as spiritual and material. When we look at the 6 to 8, that's highly harmonic, because there are 3 yin energies. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 yin energies, 1 yang, and 1 androgynous energy. This is it's a month that when you do the 6 to 8, it's a highly harmonic month. Although the 8 will govern law, there's the 8. A lot of things in law will take place. The 8 is doing the right thing. The 8 is using discernment, the wise use of judgmental energies. But it's calling for a balance through these 2 energies, the 6 and the 2. So it starts with the 6 and it ends with the 6. But they're not pillars, because this 6 wasn't existing. It was the 1, 5. So these aren't pillars. They're not yin pillars. But the potential is here. So when we look at the 2 6s, that is they're not non-aggressive, but this 8 brings in a lot of authority, a lot of power, a lot of control. So you could look at it from an upper world of seeking power and control within the material to manifest, or you could look at it in the higher world of joining the 6 and the 2, which would be, these 2 are so harmonic. The 6 and the 2, they're, I mean, you can almost see in the numbers how they're, I mean, they just love each other. You know, you could see this energy moving through them. It's just this, it's a highly compassionate, cooperative energy that moves together. So the 6s are highlighting family, community, nature, truth, balance, equilibrium, and it really brings out the beauty in nature, and it's a heart energy. So this manifestation, the right manifestation, would come from these 2 energies cooperating together, the 6 and the 2, which, as you could see, are extremely harmonious. I know my shaky hand makes that look a little weird, but yeah, that's the way it goes. So the start of the energy is through the 6 to 8 in June, but the highest future probability is in the 14.5. Now that gives us a clue as to how to work with this. The 14.5 is very regenerative, it's very restorative, it governs health. So all things, in order to manifest good health, it would be operating from a routine of working with the natural in June. When it goes into a 14.5, this is asking for a balance between security and freedom. So there will be a drive to have more security and freedom, but more security and stability, but also looking for this drive. The 14.5 also works with individuals and their demands, their wants and desires, which could be projected out to community and family and through the fine arts. But when we look at the future, the highest potential, it is within the 14.5 with the pathway of the 628. Highly harmonic, big manifesting month. We can have things manifested if we join together with others. We have gatherings with others. It's cooperative, and we bring things out into society about, renewal, change. This is a very progressive pattern, so we want to progress within nature, within a community family setting. The 8, I wouldn't worry about that too much, because a law of rhythm, the 8 could bring in stress and worry, but it's not going to change anything. So the best thing to do is to continue with that energy through May and bringing it forward into June. I'm really enjoying the beauty of the earth, and this is a love pattern too. So there's really high potential for new love to start, for intimacy to become stronger. It's a great time to travel with family, great time to travel with a loved one, great time to be with loved ones and families out in nature. But it is a manifestation month, so this would say for this progress, it would be through education, it would be through truth, it would be through anything that joins people together. So these 3 months, the April, May, and June, are really closely knitted together, and they're carrying a lot of the same principles. So keep in mind that you want to balance your self-demands, be a little bit more flexible, and try to let go of those things that don't benefit you and others in May. There may be some situations within the 8 to enforce this, but I really wouldn't worry. I wouldn't take Shiro's, whole blah blah about that. But it is there. There's a very big potential for the bottom part of the 8, creating this law of rhythm and periodic change. So in May, you want to, be with family, travel with family, be with loved ones, manifest through, in business, things that teach teamwork, cooperation, do, of course, work through the fine arts, anything that has to do with community and education will become more manifest in June. So, but be careful of this. Be a little bit more flexible with others. Allow others to be who they are and allow life to flow. But don't put all your demands into the world through this power here, because this is very powerful. Don't rely heavily on this power that you're going to be feeling, to get out and control and have authority and confidence. Remember, it has to work through humanity, through nature, through cooperation, in order to create change and renewal and regeneration and rejuvenation on the planet with all living things. And that is June of 2015.